Welcome to the completely unnecessary pre-Thanksgiving podcast.
Gobble, gobble.
For Tuesday, it's 11/22/22. That's weird. That's Ian Ferguson.
I like it when dates do things like that.
Ian at an undisclosed location with his Detroit Pistons blanket. Is that what it is?
It's a towel that I got for Spike, and it just got washed. I wrap his heat pad in it. He's a big Pistons fan, Spike. In fact, a little Spike cam here. Guy.
Hey, Spike. Hey, buddy. Spike's co-hosting, and I'm Pat Contry on the show today. Spike lately like a slug. It was his only defense. On the show today, we'll be talking about a certain oof video that has made the rounds, so to speak.
Oof, indeed.
A new NWC cart discovered, new in air quotes, because nothing's new for an NWC cart. And a question and answer and a Q&A. Ian's back. Did you listen to any of the Alex fill-in from last week?
I did not. I have not done. No. That past week, it was very busy, very rough. And I just, I got home from Tijuana and was immediately sick. So no, I didn't listen to any podcasts, but I'm sure Alex was great in my spot, probably even better in a lot of regards. I do channel a little bit of Alex from time to time with my beard, my long hair.
I was going to say maybe it looks personality,
yeah.
Probably it looks, but people got a kick out of the should Nintendo make a new NES and carts?
I've had that conversation with Alex. It's a fun conversation.
When I called him on Monday and was like, hey, we need a Q&A. We do a Patreon poll. We need a choice. And he immediately said that. I was just like, yep, that's going to win.
Oh, that was just, yeah.
And I said, and I even said at the time, I was going to win like 70% at least. And it was like 70-30 split.
You can record an entire podcast just on that question.
I had to cut us off. We were at like 22 minutes, so we got to move on. This is
what happens when you don't have a captain, a ship captain.
Captain intro. I had to be captain intro for that. What was I going to say? Did you play Atari 50?
I did. And actually, that's what I was going to say, and I trailed off because
Spike's more important.
I'm on a lot of cold meds. Yeah, I played Atari. That's actually what I did while I was sick all last week is I played Atari 50. It's a fantastic collection. I can't say anything that hasn't already been said. I found myself enjoying games that I never would have played on any other collection because of how interesting it was to see all this stuff in context. It's the first time I've given a shit about, Atari sports games on a collection. And because it made it interesting. I think all of the original titles are pretty fun. I don't love the Haunted Houses one, but I think the Breakout is fantastic. Vector Sector is fantastic. And the remastered version of Yar's Revenge is awesome, and Quadra Tank seems like it would be a lot of fun, but I would want to play that with multiple people.
I couldn't get a hand of the controls too easily because it's like a tank with like dual controls left and right.
It's actual tank control.
Yeah,
I enjoyed it, but yeah, it's tough.
Tough to learn, but I'm sure it's fine. Neo Breakout was incredible.
Neo Breakout is great. I'm still playing through that, and Vector Sector I love. It's not.
I think I got the Vector Sector.
Vector Sector is great. It combines basically asteroids, lunar lander.
Oh, I did play that one. Oh, I like that one a lot.
Yeah, that one's fucking great.
When I'm playing that, I was wishing for just an asteroids one by itself. That would have been cool, but it kind of combined both, which was nice.
Plus, that combines 4 games.
Plus, I'm sure they don't want to cannibalize their Recharge games that just hasn't come out that too long ago.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Those are, they mentioned those in one of the timelines, and obviously there's still sales to be made there. I still want to play the new Yar's Revenge one really bad. But yeah, no, it's a fantastic collection. I just wish there was some color blindness options because some of those games can be pretty freaking rough.
Yeah, like I said, it's not. I mean, there's obviously I wanted more things, and I wanted like Space Duel. I wanted the stuff. I wanted to be able to play almost every game I saw. That there's no way to play them. But obviously, there's a cutoff at some point. You can't do that everything. But the fact that they even put in Touch Me. The same individual that did the Neo Breakout did the Touch Me, and I said that's great that they included that. When I looked at Touch Me, I was like, are they going to have a playable version? It'll probably be semi-simple to do that. I was like, there it is. Like, thank you for putting it in. I played it for like 10 minutes.
I've been looking on eBay for one that's in good shape now because my grandfather on my mom's side growing up always kept a Touch Me near him. I mean, honestly, for most of my childhood, just one of those things to like keep his brain sharp. He would always turn it on and screw around with it. So yeah, I like seeing the Touch Me. Having Tempest 2000 is amazing. It's great. I actually think Cybermorph is kind of fun. I would play Cybermorph when it would come in at Luna. And it even, like, I think contextually and just, understanding, like having them, talked about it made me enjoy some games more than I ever did. I've been playing a lot of 2600 Centipede. I love it now.
Really?
I've always hated 2600 Centipede, but I don't know, just something about it and listening to people talk about it. And it's like, yeah, we're doing an abridged version. We just got to go for the feel and stuff like that. And it's tough for me sometimes to, let go of the fact that certain arcade games are ports and can only be done so well.
Sure.
But yeah, I mean, as its own thing on its own, sure, Centipede on the 2600 is fun. And a lot of their
Asteroids was
ended up being pretty good. Yeah, I don't love the 2600 Asteroids, but like the 7800 Asteroids, I've been playing that and I really like that one. So,
well, I mean, for having one button, Asteroids converted pretty well in 2600.
Oh, it did. Yeah.
And so did Centipede, obviously. Missile Command was pretty good in 2600. I haven't played it recently, but I remember it being pretty good. Back then, it would have been amazing. Would have been
and I love 5200 Missile Command. Again, one of the few games that actually made decent use of that joystick.
Sure. Like I said, it's not perfect, but it's like as they retweeted me Digital Clips or they quoted me my quote, which is nuts that they did it. But thanks for doing
it can never be perfect because of licensing and things like that. Like, I mean, everyone of course wants more. The question is, are you happy with what you got? And the answer is yes, 100% happy with what I got. It's fucking great.
So my Digital Eclipse approved quote was, "This is an incredible achievement, and I'm not saying that with any sarcasm. This is arguably the best retro game compilation that's ever been released." Oh, they made retro game one word. It's 2 words. Retro game is 2 words. It's like video game, how it's a controversy of 1 word or 2 words. The old school always put it as 1 word. Newer school video game, they separate it out into 2 words, whether it's an adjective or noun. That's a whole grammar issue. That's an argument, but that's a whole other conversation. Anyway,
but anyways, yes, it's fantastic. I mean, kudos to the team. This is, this is the progress. This is the culmination of what they've been doing, for years, starting with like the SNK 40th with all of its extensive documentation. And then the Street Fighter 30th with all of the art and the documentation. And, then they really pumped it up again with, the presentation, at least the menus and stuff on the Turtles. And now you've got this. I mean, there are no misses in those compilations, and each one has been improving in some way on the previous one. So I can't wait to see what they do next.
And I postulated with Alex I postulated with Alex that this is a template now for other companies to do this, potentially with their own properties.
Yeah, absolutely.
They wanted to
As I'm playing it, I was like, I could, Nintendo will never do it. Nintendo will never let a third party handle it. But imagine that with Nintendo, Sega, all of these companies can do that.
Absolutely. We'll get to someone from Sega in a little bit. We'll mention it now about the Sega creator, Sonic creator Yuji Naka being in trouble.
Yeah, fucking weird as shit. Like, imagine seeing that on my timeline. Insider trading is the allegation. Supposedly he was alerted to, basically, I think it was an announcement about a new installment of Dragon Quest, and he basically bought a shitload of stock beforehand. So he now shares something in common with Martha Stewart, and he'll probably have a cooking show with Snoop Dogg any day now. That's my guess.
I don't know how. So he wasn't working at Square Enix, but he said he found out about it and it's just like, okay, I'm going to do this. When is the line drawn about, well, I found information about this versus I'm a really good guesser at buying stock? It's like, hey, I just happened to buy, like 20,000 shares of a stock today.
Right.
He bought 10,000, allegedly bought about 10,000 shares for about 2.8 million yen. What's the conversion of that now with the U.S.? It's a lot better. Wow. They were arrested under the Financial Instruments and Exchange Act. I'm super familiar with that. According to the Special Investigation Unit, the suspect was an employee of the major game company Square Enix around late 2020, January, when Square Enix and the online company, a game production company, Aiming, were jointly developing. In addition, he learned important information about the new game, Dragon Quest Tact for smartphones. Okay, so had the information back then. Now they know it's, he knew when it was going to be announced, and so it's like, okay, I see. You get the information back then. I see.
You see.
And a couple others were arrested as well. So there you
go.
Well, there you go. I have to mention the sad passing of Jason David Frank, because it seems like a lot of people were hit hard by it and understand why. Jason David Frank was the most famous Power Ranger actor, played the Green Ranger, then the White Ranger, then the Red Zeo Ranger, and a couple others, and it was on Dino Thunder in the late 2000s as the old man Power Ranger, which is actually humorous because at the time the actor was only probably like 33 or so, or 34. Maybe he's like the old guy. Obviously, a lot of people grew up with the Power Rangers, part of their childhoods. So to see Jason David Frank pass away like that, take his own life, is obviously very disheartening to a lot of people. So that's why I want to comment on it, because obviously he was a huge part of people's childhoods, and he was only 49. It's like so young, still 49 for it to happen. Just sad.
Yeah. I don't have a lot to say. My past few months have been kind of just full of death, and I don't really want to talk about it. And there was the shooting over the weekend, and my hearts are with everyone affected, and it's just the world is a sad place right now. That's all I
got. This was an interesting article. That headline was clickbaity. NFL linebacker retires after selling rare Pokemon card for over $650,000. They didn't retire because they sold the card. They were in the NFL for like nearly 10 years.
I still think it's a pretty funny headline, and it's an okay use of clickbait to me, because I think anyone would know that a football player, no one's necessarily retiring over a 650. Well, a football player is probably going to be able to make a lot more money if they just kept playing. But it was a rare card. It's one of the Illustrator cards, which I don't know the exact story behind it, but I think they were only given to certain. It was a prize card, I think, for a tournament, and then they were given to some people within the company.
Oh wow!
So yeah,
is that why it says Illustrator on it?
Yeah, exactly.
So like
that's what the Illustrator.
Just like a promo card, basically. Wow.
Yeah, I think it was basically given to artists, and then I think it was a contest giveaway. I could be wrong. Either way, I think it's funny. One, the clickbaity headline was funny, but I think it's just an interesting example of the overlap. How different video games and hobbies are from when we were growing up in the 90s. How much these nerdy hobbies and sports stars overlap with each other. This is stuff that's enjoyed by everyone at this point.
Sure.
It's not its own niche. Video games, Pokemon, that stuff is followed by everyone. One of my favorite things to see, like when watching NBA games, is like the in-between commercial, like interstitials that they show if you don't have ads, and they like talk about like all the video games that the basketball players are playing and what their favorite Pokemon and shit like that are, and it's just interesting to see how much that landscape has changed.
Well, that's what they grew up with. You grew up with a kid in the late 90s, 2000s. Now you're playing sports. You're in your 20s. Makes sense. So the Illustrator was also Logan Paul's famous card that he bought for like $6 million. Was also an Illustrator. It was a Pikachu Illustrator. So it was also one of the Illustrators. I did not know that. He wore it around his neck at WrestleMania. I don't know why you do that if it's worth millions of dollars, but okay, that's his claim to fame. So I guess that's why you do that. I don't know what these are worth now. I don't know if that's gone up or down in value, but so it's interesting. It's like the closest thing to an NWC card, because it's like it wasn't for public consumption, I guess.
Right.
That's interesting. We don't have a transition for this.
No, I guess we don't have a transition.
I actually
my
thought
stomach made a really weird noise as soon as we got quiet.
I didn't hear. I thought there was another topic. I moved it. That's why. I moved the Dino Force PC engine prototype release. Let's talk about that. That.
Sure. I mean, I guess it's basically, it's just that I only want to bring it up because I can't stand PCE Works. There's a prototype of Dinosaurs for the PC engine. It's gotten polished up to a finalized version with the involvement of the original game designer, and we'll get a free ROM release later this month.
It's a horizontal shooter, well. It looks like. Horizontal. Yeah.
I want to know how much the involvement of the original game designer was involved, and it also makes it sound like there's only one game designer. I'm generally very anti-PCE Works. They sell extremely high quality bootlegs, and you know it fucks with the market. It's wrong, but you know, a lot of these expensive games now that have come out, people need to be more careful. I think they've put more marks on their games as time has gone on, but a lot of their earlier releases were designed to look basically identical to the originals. I
got tricked. I didn't know better because I didn't know it existed. This was, what was this, 3, 4, 5 years ago when I was trying to buy the rest of the, at least 5 years, when I was trying to buy the rest of the CD North American games. And the Godzilla one, I almost bought by accident. I clicked it, and then I didn't pay for it yet, and I looked at it, and I was like, wait a second. Then I saw a real picture. I'm like, that's not the I didn't know. Just by searching, I was just searching, TurboGrafx CD, Godzilla. And so I almost got screwed over. I almost paid a lot of money for a fake, for a bootleg game. And I was just like, it sucks. But I double checked.
Good news is this is getting a free ROM release. So there is a way to check it out if you don't want to support PCE Works. But problematically, this is not. I don't know what the status of preservation is right now, because this isn't going to be released as is. This is a modified version.
Correct.
of what was of the prototype that was found, polished up to a finalized version.
So yeah, that's the problem. It's like you're not getting what was actually historically worked on. You're getting something that sat around for 25 years or so, 30 years, and now someone comes in and finishes it up. And so it's like, that's great. We should have the original one preserved somewhere. And I'm sure it is. The other thing is that they try to make it seem like this is official because one of the designers worked on it. It's not an official release.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like, I would like to know what the involvement is and what they were given, but they're treating it like one person is the entire team.
No, they don't own the rights to this.
Right.
They don't. And so it's bad because I'm guessing there's some sort of, they're getting a piece of this, I'm guessing, with this release, and all of it just seems, I haven't heard of a situation like this happening before, where someone who worked on the game probably doesn't have the rights to it, is now in bed with the company making this re-release.
It's very strange.
It's very strange. So I'm not saying you shouldn't buy it, but like looking at this release, it looks super official. There's a ton of all extra crap. I'm looking at it's like, wow, this is like a ton of things. 289 pounds or euros for this. What symbol is that? Euro or pounds? Always get it confused. Euros.
Euro looks like an
yeah. So like they have a regular one, and they have this like one that's going to be like a $300 version that has all this extra stuff on it, and it's just like, yeah, I don't get it. I understand why people like some of the stuff. I just don't understand it personally.
I'll probably check out the ROM though.
Yeah, but you should also check out ultimatenintendo.com.
You should,
especially for Black Friday. Ian, I was going to ask before. I'll ask you right now. Do you want to do a discount on the CU Podcast enamel pins, stickers, and T-shirts for Black Friday?
Sure, let's do it.
How about 25% off?
Let's do it.
25% off. We thought of it right now. 25% off all CU Podcast T-shirts, enamel pins, and stickers at ultimatenintendo.com starting now until Monday. Go for it.
Monday. Do it.
Until now, until Monday at midnight. I mean, got through the weekend. And there's also the certain NES Super Nintendo guidebooks. Sometimes I do a sale on those as well. We'll see. Sometimes. And I got the Argyle baseball stickers and everything else. I'll be on Twitch Wednesday a little bit earlier. I might have to do something Wednesday night. Twitch.tv/CountryCode. It'll be like when you used to come home from college and you'd hang out with all your friends on Wednesday night before Thanksgiving. That was the great tradition that you had. We'll do that.
Yes.
And then cameo.com/PatCountry. And now I'm on Hive Social. Ian, you better register your name. Hive Social. I registered. I pre-registered.
I'm on there is Pixelsicle, PXLSICLE. You won't really find me on there unless Twitter goes entirely down. But add me. Someone took Grape Aid Fade, that asshole.
Yep. Hive Social might be the one that comes out as the competitor. There's only supposedly a few people that are working on it, but it's closest to how Twitter works and functions. But obviously, they don't have the resources. But I can picture someone putting money behind there. All you need is like 2 or 3 major influencers, sports or movies. Someone say, "Hey, here's $1 million.
Right.
Let's make this up," and then I'll start posting on there and then getting the fans. That's all it takes. It's not impossible. Remember, MySpace used to be the biggest thing in the world at one point.
Yeah,
it's
sure.
not. Twitter is not too big to fail.
Oh yeah, no, not at all.
So, and the fact that it's a nice name, Hive. Mastodon is like, what the hell is that? Hive, it's like Beehive. It's like, it makes sense.
Sure.
Branding is a big part of this stuff. It really is. It is. If you can't wrap your mind around it and say, hey, why don't you sign up for Mastodon? Like, what is that? Is that some sort of fucking zoology thing? Like, what? Like, it doesn't, you know what I mean? It doesn't make any sense. And plus, like I said, like, this is the closest. I only take around it for a few minutes. It's the closest to Twitter in terms of how it functions. And there's some Instagram photo stuff too. But obviously, it's still hard to search for people's names and stuff like that to find. By like I said, it's super early,
right?
So super early.
It looks like it's basically the same.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about this funny New York Post article based upon a YouTube video?
I don't really, because it's like. So
what do you mean you don't? You didn't. It's on the docket. You didn't say you don't want to talk about it.
Someone drank like 12 energy drinks in 10 minutes and ended up going to the hospital. And I just want to know why. Why did they do it? I feel like it's dangerous.
So this was a New York Post article that talked about a YouTube video discussing it. The YouTube video is from a clinical pharmacist who they have 2.6 million subscribers. Chubby Emu, it's called, and they do humorous reenactment videos, just like 1,000 Ways to Die. But we know the person in the reenactment that they got from Screen.
Oh, okay, so that was just the reenactment. Oh God,
yes, Justin Silverman didn't really go to the hospital, Ian.
Okay,
You thought Justin Silverman went to the hospital?
Yeah, I was like, why didn't I hear about this?
Why do you think I'm laughing about it? Because I wouldn't be laughing if Justin had a heart attack. We've known Justin for years. Ian, you silly goose. No, he was just part of the
I want to put it past Justin is the thing.
You're saying Justin would down fucking 12 drinks in 10
minutes? Not modern day, but in the past, it's something I think he probably could have been convinced to do.
Well, Justin Silverman, he works with Screenwave Media. We see him at conventions. He's the person in the reenactment of this. Ian thought he went to the hospital. Why do you think I'm laughing about it? I wouldn't be laughing if Justin went to the hospital. Would I? I don't know. Anyway, that's funny as hell. The YouTube video has 6.5 million views. So it's just it's good shit right there. It's good shit.
Okay, yeah, now it's much funnier. Now
it's like, what do you think? What do you think? I'm a fucking psychopath that I would be laughing at that? Ian, I put down the title. I'm tearing back the fourth wall here. So we have a docket of topics. I had titled it something, and then I forgot what I titled it. Like, oh, this is weird lonely gamer drinks 12 energy drinks in 10 minutes. Ian retitled it to Jesus fucking Christ because he probably realized that it was Justin that went to the hospital. This is like Papa John's. I ate 40 pizzas in 30 days. when he did that interview a year or two ago. Oh boy. Twitter descends into hell. We talked about with Alex last week, just how we don't know which way this is going to go with Twitter. But every day there's been a new development. Like, hey, you have until tomorrow to opt into still working here, and like, hey, we don't have anyone left that could really code this. So we have to now go back out and ask people to work on this again that already quit or fired. So it's just been it's been a trip. It seems like it's been 6 months, but it's been like 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's been amusing to watch from a number of angles, and I haven't rushed out to like really join any other social media sites. I don't think it's going to. It's not too big to fail, but I don't think we're quite there yet.
It's gonna be steps. It's gonna be like MySpace didn't disappear overnight.
Right.
It took like a good couple years where people were like, well, this is kind of weird. This is not into this anymore.
Things can definitely fall apart, and they are. I don't think he's doing anything good for the company, but I don't think it's going to be one of those things where we wake up in the morning and it's just not there. I do think people are looking at alternatives, though. Seriously, I do think this is going to be something where someone can come in and shake it up and get people away, because people are just unhappy on Twitter right now.
Yeah. And I did look at someone had a long thread. It was a great thread about what can and will go wrong when you like get rid of people that know how to look at the code and undo things.
I read that same thread. It was a good thread.
And it is scary though, because they said like, hey, you push out new code, you can break shit that you don't know how to undo, or it can be undoable. You can't just go backwards in time, like things like that. Where, yeah, maybe right now it's okay, but if the people are gone that can maintain this stuff, and he says like it's simple things like power going out on certain servers or things that happen where this is something that will degrade over time. It's like maintenance on a house. Like right over years. Imagine if like the furnace goes.
The problems creep in and they get harder to fix 100% because those problems cause more problems,
sure.
et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. A pipe starts to leak and you don't realize it. Now the wall's moldy. Like that's kind of how these super big platforms are. Like that's why you have so many people working there. It's not something where it's like, oh yeah, we'll get rid of these useless workers. They don't know what they're doing. And it's like, I don't know. I think there's I think you have to keep some of these people around.
Yeah.
It's not just, we're just playing ping pong all day in the break room. That's one of the weird things that people trying to say, oh, look at all this stuff they got there. Well, they're working there. They shouldn't have this stuff. And it's this weird, like,
there's a weird percentage of this country that wants people to be miserable in their daily lives. That's what they want. They're miserable, so everyone else has to be miserable too. Can't have any nice things. Everything's got to suck.
Like, or just say, hey, you should be happy that you get to work 80 hours a week, and it's like, what? Like, no. What? Like, why is that good? I mean, that used to be the thing in the Gilded Age before you had the labor movement in like the late 1800s, early 1900s. That's why you had this stuff happen.
Yep.
Because that's why you had people like how people like Teddy Roosevelt when he almost got reelected as a third party, because like there was no one standing up for a lot of these workers back then 100 years ago. 120 years ago. God, what year did he try to come in as a third party? 1908, Teddy? I forget. Anyway, so you had at one point in time, there were no labor laws in this country, none, and so people got away with whatever they want. People were, the company store, like you basically worked. You use company credit to buy things, so you had to stay with the company, and you worked as many hours as they told you to.
So company script.
Yeah. So there was no weekends at one point. Yeah. There was no weekends. They might have given you like one day off. And
company script where you use their money. They give you a low amount of money to buy things that are higher priced in their own stores.
Yeah, that used to be a thing with factories in this country and working during the Industrial Revolution and things like that. So like I said, like I don't understand it. It's really strange. I think some people's brains are just broken for whatever reason at this point. And
the cruelty is the point.
To see a worshiping of mistreating people is just bizarre. But maybe that's why when I said to myself, and Alex I think talked about it a little bit, not on the podcast, but maybe it wouldn't be the worst thing if social media evaporated in some instances, but it's important in others though. So that's why it's like, man, didn't see this coming like this. Did you see a new NWC cart being discovered coming?
Not until this very morning when you alerted me to it. That's interesting. So it's not something that happens every day anymore.
So this came into I know the person who runs this store. This came into their Connecticut store. Is also one of Huntington Beach Retro Games Plus. I know Chris, who runs the store. He helps run their Retro World Expo in Connecticut with our pal Lance, formerly of Retro TV. This was turned in number 345, which I believe is the highest number.
I was going to say, is that the highest number?
I believe so. I knew before it might have been 320s or 310s or 330s. So that's how you know at least they made that many. What's the highest number they found? Well, they made at least 345. There you go. So an older lady came in with it to test it. So this is the first time we're seeing good old 3-4. It's like finding an old friend. An old friend comes. Well, there was that point in time. You remember before the pandemic, like 3 were found in like 2019. Remember the storage unit, 1 or 2 of them, and then another. So like, it's amazing that these are still out there being found. Like literally every year, a new NWC card, like at least one. It seems like since we've done the podcast.
Yeah, hey, you're right. You're right. I thought it started slowing down.
Oh, we had 3 in 1 year a few years ago.
You're right. We did. Yeah, because that one that went into the one that was at Pink Gorilla was a new number, right?
I don't remember the Pink Gorilla one. Really, there was a Pink Gorilla one.
I think that was a new number.
I know there was at least one. There was one in Southern California that was found around L.A. I believe. There's one that Stefan helped sell. There was a few. I don't think a new gold one's been found in the past 10 years, or there might have been one, but I don't think so. I hear murmurings of it, but yeah, that was only 26 of them. So at some point, you're just going to run out of probability of finding one of the ones remaining. But no, it's always exciting to see this. People are still holding on to this stuff. That's why you got to be careful. At least with this, it's actually a rare thing, but you got to be careful when you hear about games going for a lot of money, the seal stuff, because you don't know what people are holding on to. You don't. Not there's going to be dozens of NWCs released, by one person that has them. That'd be funny though. It's like, I got the 270 series. I got 270, 275. No, I have a feeling that these broke down a lot because these are hand soldered, handmade, and just went
right.
Just got lost or got beat up with grubby kids playing them around the U.S. at locations. Got lost. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
that's why they had to make so many out. Yeah. Yeah, imagine instead of cleaning them out, this one's broken, just toss it. They didn't bother to clean them. Well, Nintendo says we can't use rubbing alcohol and Q-tips. Let's just toss them out. And that's why they just tossed them. Could be.
I mean, I honestly always do wonder, like, what percentage of each release have we lost, of any release, have we lost to the dumpster? I mean, whatever, if something's 10,000 have been released, there's not 10,000 out there.
Maybe it's,
what is it really?
You lose 20%, you lose 30%. Like what do you actually lose?
I would love to see a study on that if there's any way to do it, but I don't know how you would.
You'd have to do it. You'd have to that's a longitudinal study. Now I'm interested.
It would have to be like a very long term.
It'd have to be like, hey, all these kids bought these Star Wars toys between 80 and 83. And 20 years later, like how many are still around just from like this one town? I guess you could do it like that.
Right.
That's really interesting. I think about the Star Wars stuff a lot because I don't know. Did I mention to you that someone uncovered a huge amount of like shipping boxes that several hundred brand new figures?
Yeah, for a certain number for a few of the toys. I think you told me about.
It was more than a few. It was a lot.
Oh, okay.
It was shipping containers of ones from early 80s to mid 80s, and this stuff is out there. I always talk about you don't know who, when these stores close down. We saw it with games, mostly with the rental shops and, closing down. I've heard multiple stories, people saying, yeah, discovered a rental shop, or, I bought all these games because these rental shops were closing. And in the late 90s, this stuff goes to other places or it gets liquidated. Someone picks it up. And that goes the same for new items. Like I always talked about, I remember probably being 6-7 years old, going to I don't know if they're still around, Odd Job. It was a discount closeout store in New Jersey and New York. Whole aisle of entire aisle on the pegs of Star Wars toys in the late 80s.
Oh.
They made a bajillion of these things.
Right.
It was the most popular toy probably of the 80s. And you take into account early 80s to like mid, like tons of toys. Probably G.I. Joe surpassed them probably.
He-Man.
Yeah, I guess.
It wasn't really in the late 80s.
Yeah, like that's another thing. Like what probably sold the most, but Star Wars, at least for the first 3-4 years, absolutely.
Yeah, I wonder if they were even keeping track of that stuff back then.
No, but like that's the thing. It's like they sold these everywhere. It's not hard to find these figures. It's just doing the math of, okay, if they sold 1 million figures, how many are still not open somewhere? You know, and you just do that for all these individual figures.
Yeah.
Anyway, I thought that was interesting. I didn't bring it up to you before, but it was all the rage a couple weeks back on the toy forums about that. So that's still happening.